Hey everybody, welcome back to the My Bourbon Journey Whiskey Review channel. My name is Scott. If you're new to this channel and you're looking for reviews of different whiskeys, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Also make sure to hit the bell notification. That's going to alert you to when I'm doing new uploads or live streams. So today I've got, for me, a really special whiskey. This is going to be the Michter's. This is the 2019 release of the Michter's Barrel Strength Rye. MASHBILL on this is going to be undisclosed. Proof is on this one specifically was 109.8 or 54.9% ABV. It is non-age stated, and the MSRP, if or when you can find it, is right around that $75 price point. So this is kind of just for display purpose. This is a little bit of a different variety. This is more of the Fort Nelson release. But this sample was provided to me by a fantastic guy on Instagram, Rolex Whiskey. So go check him out. He's got some absolutely fantastic bottles and a collection. So if you really want to see somebody who's got a lot of stuff, a lot of fantastic stuff, go over to Instagram and check him out, Rolex Whiskey. You won't be disappointed at all. So again, with that, so like I try to do with all or most of my reviews is we'll go through the appearance, we'll nose it, we'll taste it, kind of get into the finish part of it, and then really kind of discuss any other, things along with the whiskey specifically. So, all right, let's go ahead and we'll get into the review. So as you can see, color-wise, and again, what I also like to try to do is move the whiskey around in the glass for two reasons. One, to help kind of open it up, and two, to kind of see some of the oily characteristics, if it's kind of sticking to the glass or not. And this one is a little bit, and I've had this open now for maybe about 10 minutes or so to kind of let it open up. And again, with something being a little bit of a higher proof, it's always nice to kind of let it open up a little bit, get rid of some of the alcohol vapors before you kind of dive right into the whiskey. So, all right, so as you can see, color-wise, it's a nice bronze type of color to it. So it's giving you the impression of, there being some age to it, just based on the color that we've got. So, all right, let's get into the nose. Oh boy. And again, this is something I have had before, and I've experienced some of what it has to offer. And I guess really without, letting the cat out of the bag, it's an absolutely fantastic pour. So with that being said, so let's kind of just get into into some of the nosing details. So right away, just there's this fantastic like rye and candy kind of sweetness to it, like right away. There's even this like a bit of like a pine and mint note. It's, I guess, how I would describe like fall in a glass. It's all of that. There's just a lot of that herbal characteristic to this rye whiskey. Even a bit of like a dark chocolate type of aspect to it. A little bit of cinnamon. But again, some of that like pine, and there's even like a walnut, but it's very fall-like, just some of those fall, smells that you get. It's just a really nice nose to it with all that sweetness, some of that herbal characteristic, some of that like kind of pininess, maybe a little bit of mint on it as well. All right, let's give this a try. Cheers. So again, some of that just like refined candy sweetness, like right away. You start to get some of that kind of like that pine. Again, I described before as like fall in the glass. It's very much that. A fantastic baking spice, a little bit of mint, maybe a slight dill aspect to it as well. But again, that rye spice is absolutely fantastic, combined with some of that kind of candy sweetness to it. As far as the mouthfeel goes, it's very oily, coats your mouth really well. So, I mean, it has all of the, aspects that somebody looks for in a really, really nice whiskey. Specifically with this, a barrel strength rye. Even a bit of like a dark fruit aspect to it as well. Again, some of that pininess to it, maybe a little bit of mint, slight amount of dill. Again, but that herbal characteristic, I think that's what kind of brings me back to, you know, it being like fall in a glass, but still with some of that candy sweetness on the kind of the front to mid palate. Does begin to dry out slightly. Still some of that chocolate aspect to it. And then oak presence. There's definitely some oak that's there. And I think that with the tannin in that, I believe that's where it kind of starts to dry out a little bit. But overall, I mean, it's a super long finish. You know, up front, you're left with some of that kind of, again, that candy sweetness. Mid palate, you start to get into a little bit more of the dryness where the oak and kind of that fall, like the pininess and mint, that kind of kicks in. And then, you know, a little bit of that oak and everything that's there as well. But a really, really nice barrel strength rye whiskey. I mean, for me, it's probably my favorite rye whiskey that I've had, and rightfully so. I mean, it hits so many of the aspects of what a lot of people look for in a well put together rye whiskey, specifically this being a barrel proof rye whiskey. But absolutely fantastic. I would say hands down, if this is something that you can find or have the opportunity to purchase, and especially if it's at retail at around $75, it's a 100% buy for me all day long. So I guess with that being said, so I mean, if we go back to the finish part of this, again, it's a lot of sweetness up front, and when you start to get to that mid palate, again, it starts to kind of dry out a little bit and leaves you more with the pine and some of that mint, maybe a slight bit of dill with some of that fantastic spice and oak that's there. Again, I'm just going to describe it as like fall in a glass. I mean, on a really nice cold night or winter, this would be an incredible, you know, pour to be able to, you know, sit down, sip on, share with somebody, you know, but there's not much else I can say other than it's an absolutely, you know, fantastic pour. So with that being said, so like, subscribe, leave comments, you know, let me know your thoughts. You know, is the barrel strength rye something that you've tried and kind of your overall experience? I'm always interested to hear others' thoughts on the whiskeys that I'm reviewing, and just to kind of hear your story with that as well. So again, like, subscribe, leave some comments below, and if you'd like to follow me on social media, you can on on Instagram, My Bourbon Journey, same thing through Twitter. And if you'd like to help or support or contribute to the channel, you can through my Patreon page, which I'll have linked in the description below. So with that being said, thank you so much again for joining me today for another review, and always happy that you can tune in. So also with that being said, and like I say, it's about the journey and not the destination. Cheers.